Hello, welcome back to Everlasting Summer. I am now beginning Lena's chapter. I woke up because somebody was shaking my shoulders. It was too hard for me to open my eyes, so I just whined pathetically. Get up already, you're going to miss the lineup. Or a day, it's a day 6 and then it's just the girl, so yeah, I guess that's what it is. Okay. Once I realized what Olga Dmitrievna wanted from me and what time it was, I rolled over to face the wall. I was so tired that I wanted to choke the camp leader just so she would quit disturbing my recovery from my hellish yesterday. Semyon, get up immediately. I mustered up my strength, opened my eyes, and sat up. Olga Dmitrievna, I understand, but I had a hard day yesterday. Can I sleep in at least today? I started pleading. It's out of the question. Lineup is mandatory for every pioneer, and you've already missed it a few times. My head went completely numb, so I just couldn't find any arguments against that. In a couple of minutes, we were already standing at the square. I dozed off, taking great pains to not fall asleep on my feet, so I missed everything that Olga Dmitrievna announced. The majority of the pioneers seemed to feel the same. Electronic yawned constantly. Alyssa had huge baggy eyes. Only Olyana seemed to be full of health and energy, as always. I swept my eyes over the lineup yet again and couldn't find Lena. That's odd. Generally, she's a diligent and committed girl. It's unlike her to miss such events. On the other hand, that was too much for her yesterday. Such stress. She's probably depressed. Although such behavior from her was very surprising. I mean, I'd suspected that she was not the kind of person she wanted others to see her as, but I never expected such a drastic change. Lena, amazingly, somehow reminded me of Alyssa, even more harsh and brutal at times. And now I was not sure how to behave around her. I was simply afraid of her. Finally, the lineup was over and the pioneers dragged themselves off to breakfast. Miku caught up with me near the canteen. Semyon, good morning. How did you sleep? Any dreams? How are you? Ready for breakfast? She has always blabbered without a break with adding a cute smile at the same time. I'm okay, I answered lazily. Today is quite gloomy, maybe because of the weather. It's quite dark, it may even rain. So yeah, everyone is sad and gloomy. I thought maybe something happened, but no one would told me what. Can you imagine that? Something happened and everyone knows about it apart from me. I was sad about it, but then... Don't worry, you won't miss the end of the world. I delivered a snarky remark. Huh? It looked like she was so into her monologue that she was completely oblivious to everything around her. And if you are going to miss it somehow, I will make sure to let you know. Nothing, enjoy your meal. I marched to the canteen with a firm step to get my daily portion of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. So Lena didn't like that he was apologizing. That's the main thing here. What's going on with her? To my surprise, a seat in the far corner was free. I sat down and tried really hard to make a face that would let everyone know that there is really no need to come anywhere near me unless there was an emergency. I just wanted to sit alone and think. Moreover, keeping my mind off other things was making me less sleepy. Hi, mind if I join you? I did not notice Slavia standing there. Strange. Sure. I answered after hesitating for a second. Bad mood? A bit. Did something happen? Not really. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. There's nothing to tell you about. We kept eating in silence until I asked, where did you go last night? Me? Oh, I just wanted to be alone for a while. That's not like you. I felt a bit more lively. Really? Well, maybe. It's also not often that you're seen so gloomy. She might be right. Even in the most unfavorable circumstances, I've always tried to have a positive outlook on things. Not that I was an optimist, I just always tried not to feel too down. Keeping my previous life in mind, it's only natural. As soon as you let depression get a hold on you, the news will start to look very appealing. Perhaps. When Slavia was done with her meal, I was still poking a porridge with my spoon. I'll be going. By the way, have you seen Lena? Nope, why do you ask? I didn't see her at the morning lineup. That's odd, that's not like her. Maybe you were right. I don't think it's a big deal, to be honest. Yes, of course, I was just wondering. I sat for a few more minutes in place and then headed outside without finishing my breakfast. Today was quite gloomy. The first gloomy day during my time here. I'd kind of gotten used to the bright and burning sun. The heat that would only subside by the evening seemed to be an irreplaceable component of this place. It looks like even here the weather changes after all. Almost like it's matching my mood. It looks like just more proof that this place or its creators are sentient and have great storytelling skills. Sometimes I really want to focus on a single theory of mine, concentrate on it, and forget all about all others. Just to decide for myself that it's all done by aliens, or I'm in a parallel universe, or witchcraft or military experiments. Just to pick one and be done with it. To stop thinking about all possible explanations to the situation, constantly jumping from one to the other. Just to focus on a single one. But it's impossible. I have almost no facts about anything. Nothing extraordinary has happened to me here yet. Yes, some odd things took place, but they can and do happen in the real world too. After yet another cycle of similar thoughts, I found myself at the bus stop of Route 410 and the gates of the Camp Sylvianok. No answers, no hints, no clues. I was walking wherever my legs were taking me. It was quiet in the residential area, not a single person there to be precise. My astonishment grew even more when Electronic appeared around the next turn. I wanted to call out to him, but stopped, because he was going a little too confidently in an unknown direction. It's strange, that goes against his nature. Anyway, what can I talk with Electronic about? And yeah, I have to start the conversation first. Seems like I was completely in despair. However, it would be interesting to follow him and to find out where he's rushing to. As a child, I liked games of spies, and here's a chance to put myself into a real spy's shoes. I decided not to sneak and hide in a special way and just held him quietly at a distance. Soon we came to the library. Electronic knocked and went inside. I stood behind a big tree so nobody could see me and began to wait. He was absent for quite a long time. Perhaps this is a stupid idea, because in fact, what difference does it make if he went to the library? Maybe he just decided to get something to read. He was walking fast, so what? Perhaps he has some business afterwards. My thoughts were disturbed by a loud door slam. I looked towards the library and saw Electronic running away from there, and Xenia, who ran after him, shouting along the way, "I don't want to hear it anymore, or to see you either." They ran past me, but naturally they were so involved in chasing that they didn't notice me. The whole situation seemed very funny, and I decided that I needed to find out what the matter was. I wonder, where could Electronic be running to like that? Hiding in the canteen wouldn't be a bad decision. However, he wasn't here either. It says he's right there. Perhaps you're going to the infirmary? No, it's obviously a silly idea. It says it right there. Yes, it is quite obvious that he ran straight to his native cybernetics club. I entered without knocking, but didn't find anyone inside. Electronic, it's me. The sound of footsteps came from the next room, and soon Electronic himself appeared. Hi, Semyon, I'm just... His eyes ran guiltily within his shirt and had visible traces of sweat. Going in for sports, I see. Sprinting. You saw that? He asked, doomed. Yes, purely by chance, so I decided to stop by and ask how you were doing and what happened. Nothing special, really. Indeed, fleeing from an angry librarian, it's nothing. You can tell me. I smiled disarmingly. Really, and won't you tell? Of course, silent as the dead crossed my heart. Seems I exaggerated there a bit, but looks like I had convinced him. Okay. He took a deep breath, gathering strength. You know, I've liked Xenia since the first day. At those words, I wanted to fall to the floor and start rolling around, shaking by violent attacks of laughter, but out of respect for him, I refrained. Still, his next few words flew past my ears. And so I just decided, well, and you saw what happened next. A brave fellow indeed. Well, you try harder, and I guess you'll succeed. I patted him on the shoulder, trying really hard not to laugh. Thank you for the support. He smiled sadly. Okay, I have to go. I have some work to do. Oh, that's too bad for him. I shot out of the clubhouse like a bullet and finally laughed out loud. However, if you think about it, Electronic and Xenia would make a wonderful couple. They are actually a perfect match. It is strange that Xenia rejected him. I was going towards the square, thinking further about this episode. At the end of the day, Electronic is not such a simpleton. Just like that, he declared his love, even realizing that refusal will follow. Or, on the contrary, is it because he's just as simple as an apple pie? Either way, you can feel the honesty and sincerity in his behavior. More complicated people would spend hours, days, months, years, thinking about how to present this in a better way, what consequences it could have, and whether you should even bother. I would do so myself. No, rather, I have done so. But he just said it. Unsuccessfully, of course, but it could have also gone differently. These thoughts made me completely melancholy, so much so that the lunch signal, usually so anticipated, didn't trigger any emotions at all. The canteen was chock full. It seems that the camp was slowly emerging from the morning depression. Maybe the sun that had come out from the clouds contributed to that, or maybe something else that I'd missed while running after electronic. Only the places next to Liana and Alyssa turned out to be free. I braced myself and started walking towards them. Eating was still a necessity. Can I sit with you? Oh, just sit down. Oh, why are you so gloomy? It's just that you were too cheerful. I'm trying to maintain the energy balance in the universe. Liana giggled. Oddly enough, the girls did not pay any attention to me and talked about their own concerns. At first I thought it was good, but then I started to think that they were just taking no notice of me. By the way, where is Lena? Because of all my thinking, I'd completely forgotten about her. I don't know, Alyssa answered absent-mindedly. Absently. Has she still not appeared? As you can see, I took a look around the canteen but didn't see her anywhere. And nobody's heard anything about her? No. Don't you find it strange? What's so strange? Maybe you see us reading, maybe sleeping or something? Seems more like you're talking about yourself. It's none of your business, is it? Alyssa interjected angrily. Well, if a person is missing, you weren't so worried when Shirk disappeared. That's quite different. Yes, and why, I wonder? I had no answer and just blankly looked at Alyssa before going back to my food. She did not insist on continuing the conversation. Lunch was over. I silently stood up and went out of the canteen without a goodbye. So, Lena disappeared. What should I do now? On the other hand, why should I do anything? Why me? Where am I, and why am I here? Who are all these people? One cannot be absolutely sure whether Lena is what she seems. Perhaps all this doesn't even exist, so why should I worry? However, for me now, Lena is still the same Lena, the modest, quiet girl I met on the first day. And even her strange behavior could not affect my attitude towards her. In the end, it's not certain that it still exists. So while the world is logical, at least to some extent, I have to play by its rules. I quickly went to the camp leader's cabin. Once inside, I saw Olga Dmitrievna lying on the bed and reading a book. Do you know where Lena is? No, why are you asking? She's nowhere to be found. She missed both breakfast and lunch. So what? She looked at me blankly. What do you mean, so what? When Shirk was gone, the whole camp was searching him from the early morning. I don't understand you. There's something strange happening to the camp leader again. She was behaving absolutely incomprehensibly, illogically. Do you think it's normal? So where is she now? I don't know. Olga Dmitrievna replied calmly. This is too much. I started to lose my temper. Ask Miku, she is her roommate after all. That was a good idea because obviously I would get no more answers here. I went outside, slammed the door, and went to look for Miku's in Lena's cabin. It was nice that the orchestra girl had told me before where she lives, which is why I was at the door of their cabin a minute later. I should have knocked, but for some reason I couldn't. After a few deep breaths, I knocked on the door several times. Come in. I heard a familiar voice. Hi, do you know where Lena is? No, I haven't seen her today. You're looking for her, right? Don't you think it's strange? By that time, I started suspecting everybody of hiding information about Lena's location, of conspiracy, of involvement in being here, of Kennedy's assassination, and of hundreds of other terrible things. Well, you know, maybe I thought she went somewhere and I just got lost in doing things. Breakfast, music club, helping to clean, and then lunch, and then... Okay, I see, and what about yesterday? Was everything normal? Well, she came late and immediately went to bed. I didn't even notice anything wrong. No chance of finding out anything here either. Thanks. I said abruptly and left. At that moment, it seemed to me that the missing Lena was the only living person in this pack of talking dummies, and I had to find her. However, it seemed almost impossible to do this alone, so I went for help. Who would be most willing to help me? Of course, Slavia. I decided that at this time she would be engaged in cleaning something, for example, the square, so I went there. My sixth sense didn't let me down. Hi. Hey. Have you seen Lena? No, why are you asking? Nobody's seen her since this morning. She was absent during breakfast as well as during lunch. Strange. I also think this is, to put it mildly, strange. Can you help me find her? Oh, sorry. Maybe later? I've got cleaning here to finish. It was like a lightning strike. I took a few awkward steps back and ran away from this place. No, that was not her. It was as if somebody had replaced her. Not only her, but also the other inhabitants of this camp. What is happening? The strangest thing is that it doesn't have anything to do with me, but with Lena. Maybe she came here the same way as I did? Exactly. That could be the reason why she behaves quietly most of the time. No, wait. But what about her knowing Alyssa? No, something does not add up. My head was going to explode, and I started to choke. After catching the breath, I looked around and found myself at the bus stop. I sat on the curb and covered my face with hands. If before nothing had really been up to me, but was going relatively smoothly, then now I was, as always, helpless, but the situation was totally different. Watching the battle fought from the side with no threat to your life, and being on the hotspot without being able to help the ones you care about are two different things. I was just sitting. Time passed and the sun began to fall. Probably dinner has already started. Although, what's the difference? I still don't want to eat. I stood up and trudged back to the camp on rubber legs. As always, the only thing left is to wait. I decided to go to the beach. While everybody was at dinner, I could sit quietly and think there. Though, what could I think about? Enough, maybe. However, my expectations were ruined. On the beach, I met Xenia, which greatly surprised me. You also come here? She looked at me from behind her glasses. Do you think I'm not a human being? No, I don't mean that. Then what do you mean? Nothing. By the way, have you seen Lena? No. I see. What do you want from her? Well, nobody's seen her since yesterday evening. Do you think that somebody could get lost in this camp? She laughed loudly. Shirk succeeded. That was a special case. Those guys are two peas in a pod and you never know what to expect from them. I immediately remembered the morning incident. Tell me, why are you chasing electronic this morning? Xenia got uncomfortable. It's none of your business. Just asking. Because he is a fool. He turned away after these words. Maybe you shouldn't be so strict towards him. Even to me, it wasn't clear whether I'm defending electronic or just keeping the conversation going. Then how else should I treat him? Well, give him a chance. You know, such an act requires lots of courage. You say it as if it is something special, some kind of achievement. Would you be able to do that yourself? I thought and answered after a while. I don't know. I haven't had the right moment yet. I hope you have it soon. Jenny said rudely and walked towards the canteen. I sat down on the sand and thought. True that electronic was able to say it, but can I do the same thing? That is the question, a big question. If I got the right moment, but which and when? It's always easier to think about something ephemeral, to get ready for dozens of possible situations, to predict the following events for many steps ahead. But most of the time it all goes differently. Even a small event is enough to ruin all your plans. And if you're not ready to do it at any time, whenever, under any circumstances, if you are ready only when everything is exactly as you had expected, it is unlikely you'd ever get anything worthwhile. Therefore, the only correct answer to Xenia's question was no. Not an ambiguous, uncertain, half-hearted, or forced answer. Just no. There's only a simple yes and a simple no. It's always been hard for me to understand that. Between these two extremes, I always worked in a great number of different answers, like maybe, perhaps, probably if, and not sure, but I will try. It's just not the right time yet, I guess. I was so absorbed with my thoughts that I did not notice how the darkness stole across the camp. Under other circumstances, I would have gone to sleep now, but looking for Lena at night was not a good idea. I got up and slowly wandered aimlessly. Soon the path led me to the sports ground. I stood there for a moment and was about to leave when I heard noises. Clap. Another clap. Something painfully familiar. I ran towards the volleyball court and saw Lena, who was unsuccessfully trying to hit the shuttlecock with the racket. I stood in shock for a long time. My head was completely empty. I just looked at her and felt a sense of joy. Joy at finding her, joy at seeing her again. Finally, I came to my senses and decided to approach. But after a couple of steps, I stopped. And what do I say now? Glad I found you. Where have you been? I was worried. After yesterday's conversation, it's very unlikely she wants to see me. And what if Lena asked me why I was looking for her? Why was I worrying? I did not know why myself. Probably it's because she was absent for too long. Maybe if it wasn't her, but some other person who I know, I'd have been worried in the same way. Maybe if I behaved differently yesterday, she would not have disappeared yet today. I'm not sure, but I'll try to come up with something adequate. I took another step and stopped again. Probably, maybe, perhaps, not sure. Again and again these words appeared in my mind, in my life. Unconsciously, without my will. But why? For what purpose? I have to make a decision, once and for all. Although, they're two simple words, yes and no. Finally, it's all clear. I went to the court, approached Lena, smiled, and said, "Hey." She turned and looked at me. "Hi. You were absent all day." "Yes, I was walking around." Everything she said was quiet and calm, with no trace of embarrassment or shyness, with no emotions at all, in fact. "We were worried about you." Though the only one who worried was me. "You shouldn't have. But you can't just disappear like that." I tried to smile to make my words not sound like a reproach. "I don't think that anybody cares about that. I care for one." "Why?" I read surprise in her eyes. Because it's not right. No matter how I tried to be perfectly honest, it came out wrong." "Ah, I see. Okay, I won't do this again." It seemed like this conversation was not interesting to her. Silence followed. I just didn't know what else to say, and Lena seemed to be quite content with the silence. "Are you any good?" I finally said, pointing at the racket. "Not very. If you want, No, I don't." She walked to the bench and put down her racket and birdie. "Okay." To tell the truth, I did not expect that response. "Want to look at the stars together?" "Yes, of course." Huh? I sat down beside her. Lena intently studied the sky. Lots of small lights shined above me. Some of them were brighter, some were very visible. I never really understood what people see in just sitting back and looking at the stars. After all, here on Earth they're just small dots of light, and it's unlikely that many people know what kind of celestial bodies they are, as well as their size and how far they are from us. Of course, it's so romantic to just enjoy the light of distant stars, but for me, it was like staring at a brick wall. It also has its potholes, unevenness in the brickwork, patterns on the stone. A stellar sky in miniature. "So, what do you see there?" "Stars," she said mysteriously with her head up. "Yes, I know, I see them too. But what's so special about them?" "I don't know. It seems that they talk to me. There are other people there. They have their own life, probably much better than ours, and they look at the sky and see the earth, me and you." Voices of the distant stars. I had already heard that somewhere else. You can call it that. Interesting theory. No, the theory is quite common. Lena looked at me. In the dim moonlight, I noticed a small tear rolling down her cheek. Or at least I thought I did. I guess I'm just a more, let's say, practical person. She said nothing, just stared at the sky again. But if you think about it, of course there's endless interstellar space, millions of planets, hundreds of galaxies. It's fascinating. My voice sounded unnaturally excited. "You don't need to talk about all these things." "About what?" "About this. About everything." "No, the stars are really beautiful. Why did you come?" Now she was crying for sure. I was looking for you." "Why?" "I don't know why, I just was." "You found me. Happy now?" "Well," I mumbled. "Why didn't you go to Alyssa?" "What does she have to do with it?" "Are you trying to say that it's not about her?" "Yes, that is exactly what I am saying. Why did you bring this topic up again?" "This topic up again? I thought we already cleared everything up." "Of course we didn't clear anything up. To be precise, we didn't even start to. However, I don't understand why all this was necessary. You think I really want to talk about it myself? If you don't, then why?" Because... It's because of you." "Because of me what?" "You and Alyssa." "Me and Alyssa what? We don't have a relationship. We don't have anything at all." "Don't lie to me." Lena turned away, sobbing quietly. Why is this so important to her? "What else can I say if you don't believe me?" "Tell me the truth." "I've already told you." "Then go to her." "Why should I go to her? I don't want to go anywhere." "Why are you sitting here and torturing me?" Oh Lord, how am I torturing you? Lena didn't answer. I've been looking for you the entire day because I was worried. I came here because you're here. I'm sitting here because I want to be here. What don't you understand? She stopped crying for a moment. Is that true? Of course. I mean something to you? Even taking into account all the things I've just said, this question came at me unexpectedly. Well, yes. If only you could hear yourself now. She cried, got up, and walked briskly towards the exit of the sports ground. Wait. Oh. I caught up with her and grabbed her arm, but she pulled out of my grip. Don't touch me. Now Lena was a totally different person, and I couldn't say that she was aggressive, assertive, or super strong-willed. She just had no doubts about what she was doing. Wait. What did I say? That's all true. Save all this nonsense for her. I tried to stop Lena once again, but she glared at me so strongly that I did not dare to argue. Just imagine how I feel. You make up a bunch of stupid things, and now you think that I'm guilty of all mortal sins. Why should you care? I should. She stopped for a moment and looked at me. It's all lies. In my anger, I banged my forehead on an iron post. You can just beat yourself up here. I'd seen Lena be many things, but not ruthless and indifferent. Wait, let's talk calmly. We have nothing to talk about. She crossed the football ground and I trailed behind, trying in vain to persuade her to listen to me. I don't know why I'm doing all this, to prove that I'm right, so I won't be misunderstood, so I will look better in her eyes. Or is this some other reason? In any case, at that moment, I just felt that it was necessary. We came to the square. Lena was pretty fast. I could barely keep up with her. I had to say something. My head was filled with different options, but nothing suitable. Wait. No answer. Listen. No answer. Will you stop it? No answer. We'll wake the whole camp. So what? What's the difference? Strange, but at that moment, I was more worried about our behavior than Lena. She stopped. Thanks for accompanying me. I'll go alone now, Lena said bitterly. You haven't listened to me yet. To me, it seems like I've already listened, several times even. So what do you want from me? Me? From you? Nothing at all. She sounded much more confident than me. There's no trace of doubt in her eyes. What can I say? What can I do? No. I was ready to burst into tears. Don't get so emotional. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. Something definitely happened. You won't lose anything if you pay no attention to me. Let me decide that. No, seriously, why? There are many pleasant activities you could choose to do. Well, to be honest, I don't need it anyway. If you don't need it, why do you constantly mention Alyssa? Lena's face changed. This is none of your business, get it? No, now it's my business. She looked at me as if she was ready to kill. Why are you bothering me? You have her. So go to her. She won't refuse, I assure you. Lena started screaming, her hair disheveled, her face flushed, and her eyes bloodshot. Calm down, I won't go to her. Why would you even think so? Just see, I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. She seemed to calm down a bit. Oh, jeez. Oh, Lena. I was sad. What's going on here? I turned around and saw Alyssa lazily chewing a bun. In the wrong place at the wrong time. The situation is a perfect example. I just froze in surprise, not knowing what to say. But Lena was smarter. Time to pass him on. Catch. Alyssa looked surprised. No wonder she hadn't heard the entire conversation. What? I said catch. Within a moment, Lena became like she was before, calm and unruffled. What should I catch? Him. She pointed her finger at me with disgust. He complains about how he loves you, how he cannot live without you, and stuff like that. What? Alyssa's eyes popped open wide. No, that's all wrong. Lena is just joking. I giggled nervously. Why? That's exactly what's happening. Listen, everything has its limits, I said quietly to her. Do you want there to be victims? Why? I already suggested to you that you should go to her. I don't know what you're talking about here, but don't involve me. You don't know? Lena said it softly, but her voice had a trace of rage in it. The same thing again? Alyssa looked at her frightened. Listen, I understand that you, but I don't know, really, not a single word, not even a single thought about him, I swear. You don't know? Oh, Lena jumped at her, and before I realized, smashed Alyssa with a powerful right hook. Well, I understand a simple slap, but such a blow could break someone's jaw. Alyssa collapsed and seemed to lose consciousness. What should I do? And on your fear, I decided that whatever happens, it doesn't concern me. But on the other hand, how can I remain indifferent? Am I a real man? What are you doing? I ran over to the fallen girl and tried to figure out if she was alive at all. Are you completely out of your mind? If you want me to leave, to shut up, or to do anything else, fine. But this is turning into a complete madhouse. Maybe you need a straitjacket. Nobody else will get injured. Lena stood, clenching her fist. You could even break your hand with such a blow. You don't understand anything. The tears welled up, flowing down her face, and she fled from the square. It seemed to me that I could still hear Lena sobbing while I was bringing Alyssa around. Finally, she came back to consciousness. You alive? Are you okay? Alyssa moved her jaw from left to right. I'll live. I helped her up. I told you about her. Well, that doesn't matter now. You have to get to the infirmary. It's too late for infirmary. I'll have a good night's rest, and in the morning I'll go there. Okay, then I'll go with you. I can't refuse, Alyssa said, trying to give me a smile. All the way we kept silent. She was probably not really able to talk, and I couldn't find the right words to say. All of this was a real shock for me. I found myself a mere spectator of a drama in which I just took on the main part. After the door closed behind Alyssa, I stood for a long time and looked at her cabin. What should I do after all this? Fatigue overcame me. I had to sleep. I think Lena is now in a state in which she is unlikely to adequately assess reality. Completely broken, I fell down onto the bed and drifted to sleep. This girl has a lot of pain, and I think I should talk to her about it. Somehow I woke up in my apartment. It didn't trigger any emotions at all, yet another day of my life, that's all. I got out of the bed and went up to the computer. A message window flashed on the taskbar. I sat down and stared at the monitor. Somebody wrote to me, and that means that somebody still needs me. The message contained only 2 words. Wake up. What do they want from me? An unknown ID. Is that spam? And what does it mean, wake up? I'm not sleeping anymore. The window still kept flashing. I tried to close it, but failed. Instead, yet another one popped out. And another one, and another one. And all of them contained the same, wake up. What do you want from me? I screamed. Soon the whole screen was blazing with identical messages. I couldn't bear anymore, grabbed it and smashed it against the wall with all my strength. A phone rang. Strange, who could that be? I picked the phone and heard just, wake up. On the other hand, thousands of voices, men, women, children, were screaming, wake up! I smashed the phone on the floor, but it didn't break and kept ringing. In a moment, the whole room was filled with strangers. They were grabbing my hands, peering into my eyes, and screaming, wake up! Another bad dream. Okay. I jumped off my bed in a cold sweat. Oh, what a dream. I came to my senses in a couple of minutes and took a look at the clock. It's 5 p.m. How long have I slept? All the events of yesterday flew through my head. Searching for Lena, the devastating conversation Alyssa defeated. I really had to talk to her. Maybe she cooled down overnight. I dressed up, went out of the cabin, hesitated a little while gathering my thoughts, then headed to Lena's cabin. What shall I say? How do I begin the conversation? I can't just go with, hi, how are you? I was just passing by. There's no way I should lecture her straight off the bat. Not reaching a specific solution, I knocked. Nobody answered. I knocked again and then pulled on the doorknob. It's not locked, that's odd. However, there's nobody inside. Well, that means Lena's not here. I'll grab some food, I might find her in the canteen. Going along the rows of cabins, I didn't meet a single pioneer. That's odd too, it's always crowded here at this time of day. Nobody was at the square either. Coming up to the canteen, I started to get seriously concerned. It's time for dinner, but there's no signs of hungry pioneer crowds. If only it was just that. The canteen was closed. Looks like something has happened during the day. I sat down on the porch and started to consider the situation. All the pioneers were gone, without any warning. Well, of course, it's hard to say that this camp of my way of arriving here is normal, but I hadn't encountered any completely inexplicable stuff during this week yet. There were lots of strange things, but maybe they're hiding in that bunker. I chuckled aloud. While all this is very, to put it mildly, mysterious, I was nowhere near experiencing a panic attack. No, it's just that they have left. I almost jumped out of my skin. Lena was standing next to me. You can't just sneak up on the people like that. You nearly gave me a heart attack. Sorry, she said calmly. Now her words dawned on me. Left. Hold on a sec. What do you mean by just left? The session's over. And the camp leader? She had some business to take care of in the town, so she went with them. Okay, and what about you? I stayed. Lena was talking with complete calmness, as if everything that has happened is completely normal and routine. How? Why is that? What's the problem? When the session is over, the children depart for their homes, don't they? And when it was decided that today is the last day of the session, you won't believe this, but on the very first day. Moreover, Olga Dmitrievna announced this at the lineup. Yeah, even at those lineups that I attended, the last thing that crossed my mind was listening to the camp leader's announcements. Then why didn't anyone tell me anything? I've waited for a chance to get out of this camp for so long. When it finally appeared, I obviously swept through it. Well, that's exactly my style. I asked them not to. Even if you would ask not to, Olga... Hold on, what? I asked for it, said Lena with the same confidence. And what, you asked them to leave me behind too? Yes. And don't you think that's all a little... Absolutely wrong! I started shouting. Nope, it's perfectly normal. I took a good look at Lena. Not a single emotion has crossed her face since the beginning of our talk. It looks like the girl that's standing right in front of me is not the kind of girl that's afraid of crickets, watches at every occasion, and reads romance novels. Okay, I got it. Looks like the situation is directly connected to my mystical arrival at this camp. Just who are you? Me? This morning I was Lena, she replied patiently. Oh, yeah, and I'm Optimus Prime, born 9 million years ago in the Highlands of Scotland. I wasn't afraid of her or anything around myself at that moment. I was just bursting with anger from within. Nice to meet you, I'm Lena. Okay, now let's get serious. I think that what you're saying is frankly impossible. Today, as it turns out, is the last day. Somehow, I don't know a thing about it, and the camp leader departs with everyone, leaving me behind just because you asked for it. Don't you find that all somewhat abnormal? Maybe I do. Are you hiding something? Maybe I am? Then spit out everything you've got. I told you already. I buried my face with my hands and took a deep breath. Okay, and what am I supposed to do in this situation? I don't know. And what are you going to do? I don't know. I'll go with the flow. Well, here's the flow, I hissed, abruptly spreading my hands. And why are you worrying so much? For the first time, a flicker of interest has appeared on her face. And how do you expect me to feel? Glad? Well, not really, but you yourself wanted it. Me? You're mad. And who said yesterday that he cares and that he wants to be with me? What's that got to do with this? I pretended not to understand, but it was finally starting to dawn on me what she was driving at. Your wish was granted. Yeah, sure, I mumbled under my breath. Well, here I am with you. That doesn't explain in any way what happened. There's always a couple of tricks that could help one succeed. And you, that is how... Yes, a smile crossed her face. I'd known that you're so cunning from the very beginning. To tell the truth, I kind of liked this whole situation. Well, not really liked, but I was curious. Of course, I'm very sorry that I couldn't have escaped with everyone else. However, I am having a teeny with Lena now. That might mean that I'll get a chance to see the real her. And all the answers that I was longing for could be right here and not in some mysterious town which everyone else had headed for. Okay, so what are we going to do now? We? She smiled. Yeah, we're the only ones staying here. The canteen's closed and I seriously doubt that there's any food left there anyway. Of course, Olga Dmitrievna should return in the foreseeable future, but what does it matter? Okay, it doesn't matter. Any suggestions? What do you want? She asked with a sly smile. I would have grabbed something to eat, and then I don't know. Oh, let's go and have something. Where to? There should be some food left in my cabin. Okay, deal. We went in and Lena rummaged around in the desk drawer. Well, there are cookies. Want some? She handed me a half-open pack of biscuits. Cute. I sneered. Why? Biscuits, like in my childhood. I guess. She smiled and sat next to me. Well, I asked with my mouth full. What? So what are we going to do? I don't know. She wistfully gazed out of the window. But what do you want? But really, what do I want? A mere half an hour ago, my only thought was to get away from this darn camp. But now, right here, next to her, something seemed to change. Well, I don't know either. Think harder. She drew herself closer and gazed into my eyes. Well, my face was blushing and my mind was racing. Not just because I was in such extreme proximity to a girl that quite clearly wants something from me, but mainly because that girl was Lena. Well, she studied me closely. Lena, what? To say that she didn't look like herself was nothing. I was not afraid of this metamorphosis at all. Rather, I was afraid of myself, what I could do in such situations. Didn't you want to be with me? She whispered into my ear seductively. I did. I do. Then what's the problem? It's also... Besides, I have some other circumstances. What circumstances? She pulled away from me. Well, various circumstances. You don't prefer, do you? Lena laughed. No, how could you think that? Looks like I blushed even harder. Then what's the problem? Are you sure that you want that? I tried hard to change the subject. After all, just a week ago, I had my own normal life, a life where everything was strictly tied up and well organized, and where there was no place for girls. And now I'm in some kind of mysterious camp with Lena sitting next to me and hinting towards something. How should I behave in such a situation? Yes, she frowned. Of course I do. What's the problem? Well, I was behaving like I wasn't even 17, which was how I looked now, as if I was much younger. Mine too. She smiled. I had to decide what to do next, now, after the session was closed and all the pioneers were gone. I had to seek the answers. Above all, I just had to beware of this girl that could change her behavior and even her character so easily at will. But at that exact moment, I was possessed by only one thought. Oh, why not? Well, if you don't mind. I closed my eyes. She said nothing, just smiled and moved even closer. Our lips locked in a long kiss. I forgot everything in that moment. I forgot about this weird camp. I forgot about the local pioneers that were in fact gone. I forgot about our wacky camp leader. I forgot about my past life and about my future, if it would ever come. Right now, the only one who mattered was Lena, her soft lips, her warmth that poured deep into my soul, burning me from the inside. Oh. I gently moved to her side. Hold on. Don't you think that this is way too fast? Why? She smiled and looked at me in such a way that I immediately felt ready to drown in her eyes. You sure, aren't you? I am, I whispered quietly. At that exact moment, I truly loved Lena. I wanted to hold her tighter and never let go. And she felt the same, of course. Time flashed by way too fast, and we became as one. Oh. When I woke up, it was already dark outside. I got out of the bed, put mine on my trousers, and had a stroll around the room. What was that? Just an animal instinct, or maybe it was something more? No, it's all wrong, completely wrong. I'm stuck in this camp, I've lost my chance to get out of here, and most of all, I'm with a girl who probably has a split personality and maniac depressive disorder. I looked at the sleeping Lena. Anyhow, she's marvelous. Everything that happened between us, literally only a couple of hours ago, flashed before my eyes, and I felt shivers up my spine. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but if I could have returned back in time, I would have done exactly the same thing. I smiled widely and sat down next to her on the bed. It was close to 10 p.m. Well, it's probably time to get up. I gave Lena a gentle nudge on the shoulder. She opened her eyes. Good morning. Well, evening, in fact. Hi. She smiled tenderly. Time to get up, sleepyhead? Are you in a hurry? Well, no, but we're completely alone together in this camp. So what? She took a good look at me. Well, nothing. When will Olga Dmitrievna return? Is it that important to you? She got a heavy look on her face. Well, without food, we're going to die here. I laughed. You're free to leave then. She looked away towards the wall. But how can I leave? On the bus, of course. There are no buses here. Then why do you think there's a bus stop for a bus route 410 here? Frankly, I don't know. I told Olga Dmitrievna that I had some matters to urgently resolve here with you, and we'd come later. What? I felt like I'd been struck by a lightning. Lightning. I didn't know what I should be more surprised about, the fact that there are buses passing here, or by the fact that the camp leader agreed to leave 2 pioneers behind in an empty camp just like that. What I said. You mean that we can leave? Go on, no one's holding you. She said all that while sitting utterly still. In fact, so still that her words gave me grave cold chills. Okay, I'm sorry that I reacted that way. It's just everything that's happened today has been a total surprise for me. You didn't look too surprised a few hours ago. I probably said something wrong. Completely wrong. Well, don't get offended. We won't be staying here until the end of times, right? If there's a way to leave. Lena didn't say anything. I looked at her back and tried to understand what she's thinking. Fine, she exclaimed cheerfully after a pause, then jumped off the bed and started to dress quickly. Come on, pack your stuff. Meet me at the square in 10 minutes. Lena leaned over and gave me a passionate kiss. Alright. I stepped out of her cabin and ran to the camp leader's cabin. Frankly speaking, I had almost nothing to pack. I tossed my winter clothing into a bag, shoved my phone into my pocket, and headed to the square. 15 minutes have passed already, but Lena still wasn't here. I justified it with the fact that she has lots of stuff to pack, and accordingly, she needs much more time to get ready. However, she didn't come even in half an hour, and I started to suspect something. My legs ushered me to her cabin before I realized it. I flung the door open and saw Lena lying on the bed. Everything around me was soaked with blood. The bed sheets, the blanket, the floor was wet with blood, and I could see a huge slit on Lena's forearm. No, I ran to her and started shaking her by her shoulders. Lena, why? She was still conscious. Hi, Semyon. A weak smile froze on her lips. Hang on, hey, don't you pass out. I'll think of something right now. Listen, everything's going to be fine. You're not going to die. Of course, I didn't believe it myself. Lena had slit her veins from her elbow all the way down to her wrist. It was a deep cut, and given all the time I've spent waiting for it at the square, she'd bled a lot. Probably even an ambulance couldn't do anything by now, and here in the empty camp, away from the world, Lena had 0 chance of survival. How stupid can you be? I embraced and held her tightly. Tears were running down my cheeks, disappearing in her hair. I've never cried so hard in my entire life. Fool, why did you have to cut down the road? Everyone else does it across the street, and you cut down the road. Sorry, it happened as it did, she muttered faintly. But why? Why? I'm tired, so tired. Lena went silent. I looked straight into her eyes. She was still conscious, but the last flicker of life was quickly dying in her. I'm so tired of it all. Wearing a mask. Suffering. I just wanted to be with you. But you've left me too. I never went anywhere. Here I am. Why? What have you done? I'm sorry. I was choked with tears, unable to say anything. I'm sorry. I'll be seeing you later. I embraced her even tighter. Lena's breath was getting weaker, and soon enough, it stopped forever. Horror struck, I jumped away from the bed. My eyes went dark, my heart was beating wildly, and I spotted the blood-stained knife lying on the floor. A moment later, I was holding it in my hands. The blade halted a hair's breadth away from my wrist. But why? How would that help? I sat there completely freaked out and just stared at Lena. No, you aren't dead. I exploded with hysterical laughter. Come on, sleepyhead, it's time to wake up. I said softly and shook her by the shoulders. But Lena didn't wake up. What have I done? Oh, I jumped out of the cabin in horror and ran like mad. I don't know how much time passed, but finally I wore myself out and collapsed on the ground. Thanks. Hostile silence was all around me, and only the stars looked down on me in quiet rebuke. These were the same stars that Lena admired yesterday. Yet another crying spell tore me apart. Why? Why did she do it? Because I left her. Where had I gone? I never left her and wasn't going to. Only at this moment did I realize that she was truly important to me. I realized that despite all her quirks, everything that happened today, everything that happened during the short period of our acquaintance, she'd suddenly become the most precious thing in my life. And I instantly forgot about her feelings, as soon as I heard about that bus. Indeed, It can't justify her act, but how could I have stopped thinking of her at all? I lay there for a long time, watching the stars. Stars. The stars. The trees were peacefully swaying in the gentle night breeze above my head. The trees didn't care about what was happening to me. The landscape seemed familiar. Suppressing my tears, I headed back towards the camp. Oh, everything here seemed to be the same as yesterday, as a few days ago. The square, Genna's memorial, the cabins of the pioneers, Lena's cabin. I was all torn up inside. It felt like the pain would tear my body into millions of little pieces any moment now. I fell to my knees and began punching the ground until my fists were completely stained with blood. If only I'd realized just a bit earlier. Just a moment earlier. I'm not asking for more. She was so... Even the slightest of hints was enough for her. Only at this moment did I realize that Lena had died, and a part of me had died with her. Probably the part of me that I would call the best. I came to my senses after a while, standing in her cabin. The blood had dried up already. The moonlight was no longer reflected in it. I went to her bed and sat down next to Lena's body. I was terribly afraid to be here, but I felt that I had to tell her something. I'm sorry, I started. It's far too late, of course, but if you can hear me out there somewhere, just remember, please, I will love you forever, for the rest of my life. And that was the plain truth. I'm sorry that I ignored your feelings. I'm sorry that I always thought only about myself. I'm sorry for everything. It was me who should have died, not you. I covered her body with a blanket and slowly left the cabin. Oh, come on. Why did she have to do that to herself? Oh. Bye.